A very warm good evening to one and all present here. As you all know, we have gathered here to celebrate the fourth anniversary of Mind Trust Praditi. Welcome to day 2 of Praditi. Mind or Mobility in Dystrophy is an organization which works for the welfare of people having different dystrophies, a space for love, hope, and care. I'm Tirtha and I'm the coordinator of Prayan, which is a students' wing of the Mind Group. I'm here to introduce all the distinguished guests of today's discussion panel. Many kind of research are in progress for the advancement and development of muscular dystrophy and spinal muscular atrophy. These newly developed medicines could decrease the hardships of the people suffering from these atrophies to a large extent. Mind, following its fourth anniversary, we are lucky to have eminent personalities for the panel discussion on the topic Changing Scenario in Muscular Dystrophy Medical Development. I would like to introduce and welcome all these distinguished guests to the panel. First, we have Dr. Arun Shastri, who is the founder, director, and chief scientific officer of Hanagen Therapeutics and chief scientific officer of the Dystrophy Annihilation Trust Research Trust. He focuses on exon skipping and the development of muscular dystrophy medicines. Hanagen Therapeutics has won many national and international awards and grants in the quest for finding cure for rare genetic diseases. And he is our ray of hope in these tough times. Sir, a very warm and hearty welcome to you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Dr. Rakesh Nvidu. He works as an associate professor and is the founding director of Syngenis based in Australia. We all are really honored to have you here. A very hearty welcome to you too, sir. Now, I would like to introduce Dr. Surendra Rao, who is the Chief Advisor, Organization for the Rare Diseases in India, based in Bangalore. He has provided technical and scientific comments to ORD India on the draft policies of the Government of India, such as national policy on the treatment of rare diseases, new drugs, and clinical trial rules. And he was a part of a panel discussion on creating opportunities to advance cell and gene therapy in low and middle income countries. We are very happy to have you here, sir. Welcome to the panel. Last but not the least, we have Dr. Sudesh Chandran CJ, who works as the Chief Coordinator, Department of Neurology, KIMS Trivandrum. He is also the Secretary of Kerala Association of Neurologists. Sir, welcome to this discussion. And now we have one of our very own, Krishna Kumar KK, who is the Chairman of Mind Trust and is the source of all our motivation and all things good. He is a very active member of the Mind Group, supports us in every way possible. He will be moderating this discussion today. A very warm welcome to you, Krishna Kumar, sir.
Thank you.
And welcoming you all viewers to this discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tirtha, for introducing all of our esteemed panelists to this particular panel discussion. First of all, thanks all of our eminent guests to this Mind Trust fourth annual celebration. And as part of this annual celebration, so we are conducting this panel discussion on what are the latest medical development in the field of muscular dystrophy. I know it's how difficult time we are going through, and a very busy time, and still you are able to find some time to come for this particular discussion. Anyway, that Tirtha already introduced that our all eminent panelists and with a detailed the profile and all, but I would like to share that a few words about each of the panelists. And first of all, I'm welcoming Dr. Arun Shastri, and this is the first Mind Trust formed in May 1st, 2017, and Arun Shastri was part of that, our initial journey, and he is providing all the support and guidance to the Mind Trust. Once again, I am welcoming Dr. Arun Shastri for this panel discussion. And then next, Dr. Rakesh Vait, the starting onwards. So whenever we required for a medical session or something related to the medical development and all, Rakesh sir always try to help help in all kind of support and to support to the Mind Trust. Welcoming Rakesh sir to the session. And then Dr. Sudhindra Rao. Sudhindra Rao, so I met Rao sir almost like 1.5 years back. But whenever required, so he is providing all the support and guidance and guidance whenever required for the Mind Trust. Yeah, welcoming him also to this session. And Dr. Suresh Chandran, so one of the eminent neurologists from the KIMS Hospital. So sir also had I'm welcoming Suresh sir also to this panel discussion. Thank you. And now we can directly go to this the panel discussion. I know that most of these parent and patients groups are every day they are worried about what kind of medicine available for muscular dystrophy and spinal muscular dystrophy and all. And many parents and patients organization are closely working with the eminent scientists and try to get medicine for muscular dystrophy. But it's a very long journey. We have done quite good start, but still a lot of things to be done for the muscular dystrophy community and getting a right medicine for the muscular dystrophy. Okay, so in this discussion, so I would like to do in this way. So we can consider it as the table discussion. So each topic we can get view from all of our four guests and then move forward. Okay. The first of all, I would like to know from each and everyone. So where exactly we are standing on muscular dystrophy on a medicine standpoint of view. So probably I will start from Arun sir first.
Thank you, Krishna Kumar, and I thank Mind Trust for giving this opportunity to be part of this event. Hi Rakesh, hi Sudhindra, and hi Dr. Suresh. Well, the topic is because it's an unmet need. There are a lot of patients, and everybody keeps asking. And worldwide also, and in India, it has been powered by patient community. So, patient community is very important in any kind of development which has led for muscular dystrophy drugs or spinal muscular atrophy drugs. And my view is that we have done a lot in India, but still a lot needs to be done.
Yep, that's good, sir. Yeah, Rakesh sir. So your views.
Yeah. First of all, I take this opportunity to thank the organizing committee and also the Mind Trust for all your good work that you've been doing in India and in Kerala in particular, and also you, Krishna Kumar, for initiating this program. So I'm very happy to be here. So regarding the muscular dystrophy drug development and the current status, in my view, there's still a lot, more to go. Obviously, we've got an excellent start by developing few of the drug candidates, and of course, the splice switching drug, the Exondys 51s and Vyondys 53, and then the last one, I forgot the name as it, and they obviously are an excellent start. And also gene therapy is coming up, stem cell therapy is coming up, hormone therapy, and a lot more other opportunities are out there. So having my expertise are actually in the antisense drug development area. So my view is that the cost of this therapy needs to be significantly reduced. We obviously cannot afford such a high price, particularly in India. So we've got a lot of patients in our country, obviously. So we need to think of, and we can't really afford $350,000 per annum per patient. So the chemistry and the cost of the drug needs to be revisited, and which has to be significantly improved, at least to bear, to bring it down at about $10,000 to $20,000 per patient per year, from US $350,000 per patient per year. So we are all working towards that journey, and then and I am confident that we can come up with a generic variant of these molecules with a much better efficacy in terms of delivery, as well as the efficacy to induce the splice switching or the exon skipping. So this is my view that in future, so a modified variants of the current drugs will come, and then towards India, more and more pharmaceutical companies are eyeing to help, and I drive the mission in Australia to help my people back in Kerala and in India with
that's great. That's great, sir.
And then we are very confident we can enter India in the coming 2 years' time with a significantly reduced price.
Okay. Maybe the next step from the clinical perspective, Dr. Suresh sir should be the right person to comment on the current situation in the muscular dystrophy treatment, right? Suresh sir, what's your comment?
Inviting me, and I appreciate the great work being done by the Mind. I think I'm a little bit odd man out of the other three, because they are people who are doing focus work on this. I'm a general neurologist, a clinician, but I do take care of muscular dystrophy patients and SMA patients. So as has been conveyed by Dr. Rakesh, we do have options of treatment now. Whenever we approach a disease, always we think in three lines. First, whether there is a cure. Second, there is a disease modifying treatment. And third, we look at how can we prevent the complications of that treatment. Cure, of course, if you look at the cure part, even the common diseases, many diseases we don't have cure. We are mainly treating them. Say diabetes also, we are not curing diabetes. So cure part, we only have for very limited diseases in, if you say in the broad spectrum. So most of the diseases we are treating, and we are modifying the course of the disease. So that is the part exactly where we have to look for in the muscular dystrophy and SMA also, because at least now we do have options for disease modifying treatment. Take the case of Duchenne muscular dystrophy or a spinal muscular atrophy, we do have options. As Dr. Rakesh has suggested, the Duchenne muscular dystrophy, especially with exon skipping, we do have a good array of medicines. Exon disc, then 53 splicing, and the latest is the amount disc, which targets the 45. And of course, we have to remember that for Duchenne muscular dystrophy, even the steroid deflazacort is still a very good option, especially when most of the other treatment options are, the cost is the thing which prevents, at least in the developing country like India. So it should be remembered that the deflazacort, a simple steroid, has been approved by FDA for treatment of Duchenne muscular dystrophy, especially in children aged over than 5 years. And it definitely improves the ambulation, and it is the one medicine which has proven to improve the muscle strength. So this is a thing which every Duchenne muscular dystrophy person should be getting. It has been approved for use more than 5 years, and it definitely prolongs the ambulation, it prevents the side effects, and it improves the quality of life. So in a country like India, deflazacort or steroid, simple steroid, is the first line, and which should be started without any hesitation. And we do look at the other newer treatment parts. Thing. Again, SMA, at least now we do have options. We do have vector-based gene therapy in the form of Zolgensma, as well as exon skipping in the form of nusinersen, and now the latest is the oral therapy which is being available, that is known as risdiplam. Again, cost is the main issue here, but of late DART has I think trials are going on by the DART on the indigenous equivalent of the Exondys, if I'm correct, and probably the trials are going on. So we do have option, and as a clinician point of view, the other important point is to prevent the complications of the disease. That also is an equally important point. We have to modify the disease, as well as we have to look carefully to prevent the complications. For example, we have to look at the cardiac status of the patient. We have to look at the breathing part, spine problems, scoliosis, early prevention of scoliosis, early prevention of contractures. So all these complications also we should take care, so that the quality of life is maintained.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Now we can go to Dr. Sudhindra, sir. Sir, what's your view on the current status?
Thank you so much, Krishna Kumar, sir, for giving this opportunity. I'm really happy to represent the Organization for Rare Diseases India on this particular platform. And my particular take is we have a ray of hope. That is my bottom line. Number one is because we have, as Arun Shastri said, Dr. Suresh also mentioned, that we have a lot of options that are coming up for a various amount of muscular diseases, as well as for spinal muscular atrophies. We have some amount of options. However, what I want to stress is about patient advocacy groups and patients themselves to become aware of the therapeutic opportunities and therapeutic windows. Not every treatment is useful in in that particular disease. There is a particular timeline in which a particular treatment is useful. So that means that we need to be very sure of what type of treatment to avail in that particular disease, and understanding the timeline. This awareness needs to be generated both at the medical fraternity level, and at the patient level. So this, I think, is what we need to focus on. But there is definitely a lot of hope.
That's great. Now, so probably that Dr. Arun, so he is concentrating for the past, I don't know, maybe more than 10 years now, and concentrating on exon skipping for the Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and made a lot of progress in that area. From Dr. Arun, so we would like to hear from you on that the current status of exon skipping on the DMT trials. I know that Hanujen and DART has done a wonderful job on that, so would hear from you on that.
Thank you, Krishna Kumar. So DART started in 2012, where we had to set up everything from scratch, and then Mr. Anand, Ravdeep Singh Anand, whose son suffers from DMD, he was the main power behind DART, and DART had sent me to Western Australia University, where Dr. Rakesh and Dr. Steve Wilton, they had mentored me in this technology. And we came back and we started developing our own in-house molecules using various chemistries. However, Steve had warned me that it's not very easy, because developing something in a university or developing something to a clinical candidate or getting to the patient is a different game. And of course, in India, we have a lot of motivation and motivated parents who pushed us. And last 8 years, how it went by, I can't say. It was very fast, and we have reached a stage where we have got the approval to conduct our pan-India level clinical trial. We have 9 hospitals across 8 cities in India, for which the Indian Drug Regulatory Agency has given approval. Hanujen Therapeutics was again a leaf out of DART, wherein we wanted to focus on making the good manufacturing practice GMP grade oligo for clinical purpose. And we have received the GMP license also for this trial. And we are ready. However, last year when COVID struck, everything has been delayed. And right now, the challenge is that we need to first get COVID vaccinations and these things ready, because these children with DMD and muscular atrophies and everybody is immunocompromised because of steroids. And it's a quite risky situation for them for currently going ahead for any kind of treatment or trial. So that's why the hospital ethics committees and everybody have, delayed this process. But I'm sure once the scenario is safe, we will be soon initiating. And again, like how Dr. Rakesh said, coming out with a very expensive option is not an option for us. In that front, I'm very proud to say that DART and Hanujan has got the cost down to $30,000 a year. However, still that is very expensive. That's where a lot of patient advocacy and other rare disease policies and the recent Delhi High Court hearings and committees were formed, wherein the Delhi High Court has ordered the Indian government and Ministry of Health to keep a separate rare disease fund. And of course, right now, AIMS New Delhi is the custodian for that. Slowly, we have got some recognition, and they are actually taking us an example to make sure that something like this is developed for other rare diseases also. Of course, funding is a big challenge. We have come across through parent groups supporting us, but that's not enough because drug discovery is expensive, and conducting these kind of clinical trials is even more expensive. So I am having hope with the government of India. They have promised that they will help us. I have secured some funding, but that is only like 20%. But still, there is a ray of hope, and we will keep continuing to do our work and make sure that this therapy goes to every Indian patient.
Yeah, that's good news, sir. And so I have one question to Arun sir. So Arun sir, you mentioned that, okay, this exon skipping can be used for other muscular dystrophies also. And we have done any such of, test trials or something, or that yet to be done?
We have done a single patient study on Mr. Anand's son. This was done as an ICMR research project. Okay. And based on that only, we got convinced that whatever we are making in India is safe. Yeah. And it was showing some improvement in the patient. So based on that, we had submitted this whole proposal to the DCGI, where there is a subject expert committee which reviews. And for conducting a trial, there are a lot of rules. Earlier, when we went with the single patient study, there is no N=1 study available in our books, rule books. So what they said is that you have to go in a phase-wise manner. But at least now, considering the rare diseases, they have given us some kind of relaxation wherein if we do a statistically powered study, we could even combine all the phases in a single study and get away with it. So that means that we need to do a good decent number of sample size with a group of patients getting the medicine and a placebo group, so that after some time when both the groups are merged and it becomes an open label study, we really can show that there is some kind of improvement happening in the patient, or it's not a placebo effect. So we have designed the study in that way. So that's how we want to do it, learning from a lot of experience from the lot of trials which has happened worldwide on exon skipping. Here we are not reinventing the wheel, but we are making it in India.
Okay. Maybe that related to that exon skipping. So for all other guests, so you have some comment or question to Dr. Arun? Okay. Now it's like Dr. Rakesh. So I heard like in Australia also that a lot of studies and researches are going on. So from that the syngenesis perspective, so you have progressing any such research on muscular dystrophy?
Yeah, recently I founded a company here in Perth called Syngenis. The mission of Syngenis is basically to develop oligonucleotide therapeutics against a range of diseases, including rare diseases. So we have IPs of certain new chemistries, and also the way how we can make the chemistries of currently approved drugs for Duchenne muscular dystrophy, which is called phosphorodiamidate morpholino. So this is in collaboration with the University of Colorado. One of my mentors, Professor Mark Carruthers, he's actually the inventor of these nucleic acid synthesis procedures and also the founder of Amgen Pharmaceuticals and also the Applied Biosystem. So Marv and I founded this company, and obviously our mission is basically to make state-of-the-art nucleic acid drugs based on whole new platform chemistries to get, and also new delivery methodologies, how to deliver them specifically to the tissues where we are targeting. For in case of Duchenne muscular dystrophy, it has to target muscle cells specifically. So and cardiomyocytes, and so we're working towards that to improve the chemistry and to lower the price without compromising the efficacy. And we do have some potential candidates which are currently, in PCT stages. And we are now working in the animal models. And once we find those systems work okay, and we do believe that the dystrophin expression can be improved at least to 15% in when it comes to a human. So this is an elevation in terms of dystrophin expression that we're trying to see compared to the existing drugs. But I can't really promise anything based on what we see at this point, unless we try in human trials. We can't really predict. So we are optimistic. That's the best word I can use at this point. But we are working towards that to help the new type of chemistries and new type of antisense approach in terms of its delivery methodology and also the way we do the chemistry. So that will bring the cost significantly down. And then obviously we will be able to serve mostly around the world, including India. And I will then tie up with organizations like MIND and all other associations in India who would like to access these drugs. And that's my plan. So we are not looking for a lot of profit here, but we would like to help those patients in need. So that's the reason why we would like to team up with the associations and who are closely working with the patients. So we plan to give straight to the association and the heads of the association, and they will then drive that towards the patient. So we don't sell directly to patients if that comes on board, and that's how we designed this. This basically is coming out of Marv. Marv is a philanthropist, and he has some money to do it, so we are able to do it to help people. So that's one vision, and we are also planning to do the same for other rare indications. So we have a range of diseases that we would like to target, including some eye diseases and then also motor neuron diseases. And we have a range of pipelines which are currently in different stages of investigation. But again, all of those developments are at very early stages. And coming back to Arun's points on COVID related issues, it is really heartbreaking for me to see the kind of events now unfolding in India. And especially when we think about these patients, DMD as well as SMI patients, and I can only imagine how hard it is going to be for them and also for their families. And it's really heartbreaking for me to see these kind of things at the moment in India. And I'm very confident that it may become better.
Yeah.
And obviously, there will be, of course, DART and then MIND, and there are associations. Obviously, please intervene and also try to help all these patients as much as possible.
Yeah.
I can imagine in the normal scenario how they lead their life, and when it comes to COVID, it would be even sad.
Yeah. So hopefully that maybe the COVID situation will come down and we can make some progress in your research as well. Next, Suresh sir, you have any specific view on the scenarios or whatever the development is progressing? Suresh sir, are you able to hear? Okay, now I would like to know from Dr. Sudhindra Rao. So it's like now we were discussing about that iPSC stem cells and all. So where exactly we are on iPSC stem cell based therapies and all. So how it is differing from the normal stem cell therapy and all. So probably if you're able to share some input on that area, it would be great. I know that that is one of the core area you are working on.
Thank you, Krishna. So stem cell therapy for the muscular dystrophy is not new. People have been trying both muscle-derived stem cells and non-muscle related stem cells for muscular dystrophy. However, most of the therapies that people have tried working on are have been nicely validated in the mouse models, especially the MDX mouse model, which is widely used for muscular dystrophies. And quite a couple of clinical trials also are going on, but none of the therapies are right now in a phase wherein it is ready as a product and so people can use it. So most of them are still in the clinical trial phase. There is no product coming out of the muscular the stem cell field. Having said that, the newer addition over the past decade has been more focus on the induced pluripotent stem cell. Both from, say, father donating the donor material or from the patient itself, and then genetically modifying the diseases and then putting it back. So these are kind of different type of methodologies people have adopted, wherein either modifying the starting material or using a material which is not affected by any type of genetic diseases. They have tried it in muscular dystrophy, they have tried it in other diseases. And there is a growing, what do you say, focus on the induced pluripotent stem cell derived products. So iPSC basically is more like a starting material for many more products that can be produced out of it. So here in case of muscle, people have tried whether muscle progenitor cells, instead muscle progenitor cells, myoblasts or satellite cells, there are certain small components which can be made from the iPSC, and these cells can then be transplanted in the target area, and then they have checked how it improves the some of the parameters that they were studying, both molecular at the molecular level as well as at the little bit of behavior level. So that particular iPSC related field is now getting more focus, and the whole process of making a product out of iPSC, the kind of processes that one requires them to harness, to make and manipulate them to towards and pushing them towards a muscle related product generation. A lot of labs and industries are focusing there, and they are getting very good at the protocol. So I see that the next coming few years, these particular protocols will be very solidified, and we should be expecting some products which we can take it for a next level in the clinical trials. But at present, there are no particular products coming from the stem cell industry, either a regular stem cell industry or iPSC derived stem cell industry. But there is definitely a lot of hope from the iPSC derived stem cell products for the muscular dystrophy field.
So maybe that outside India, so many companies mainly focusing on that iPSC level product for muscular dystrophy. Anything they have completed already, or how they are standing?
Most of these, most of the clinical trials, if we say, they are between they are a collaboration between certain certain specific pharma companies, along with major involvement from the universities. So there are no major pharma companies which are completely focusing their entire portfolio on developing stem cell therapies. So that sort of thing has not come, because the because there are certain risks that are involved in terms of capital investments. However,
Okay.
And the translation gap is there. I mean, you invest the money and then you have a good amount of time for which it's going to become a product. So that gap is there. So that is kind of preventing people, especially the pharma companies, to put together a good amount of money. I mean, yeah. Okay, so another point is major work is being done in Kyoto Sira, that is in Japan. That's where all the iPSC derived work has been going on. So this is a specific consortium of scientists and research organizations which are interested in developing products for stem cell related products, and that is happening in Japan. And there are some exciting news coming up from the Kyoto Sira last week, as well as last month. There were studies coming out of the PAX7 mouse model, wherein they have used PAX7 derived iPSC cells. So they have manipulated one particular gene in the iPSC, and they are able to now efficiently convert iPSC into some muscle progenitor cells. Muscle specific stem cells. So it is more useful to kind of use a little amount of material and then seed it in the affected muscle so that muscle regeneration happens locally. So the protocols are getting standardized, and we will definitely reach an efficient protocol conversion in coming 1 or 2 years is my hope.
So it is like dead muscles may not regenerate, but new muscles may come, right? That is the correct statement. Yeah,
that's the correct statement. So basically, in the muscle, muscles are constant. There is a group of muscle stem cells which try to regenerate a part of the muscle in a normal way, especially when you do exercises and all. You have a good amount of muscle buildup. So, and that comes by a very basal level of muscle replication, and muscle bulk is kind of produced. But in case of dystrophy, especially muscular dystrophies, these muscle cells, their programming, the cell regeneration programming, all those things are affected. So these stem cells are not particularly efficient in replacing the muscles which are constantly dying, and the muscles which are undergoing death or degeneration are not replaced by other muscles. Instead, it is being replaced with adipocytes or fibrosis, those sort of things. So here the idea is to make sure that you take the stem cells which is capable of making more muscle fibers. So you are putting a stem cell which is more interested to make only muscles. So stem cells can make multiple things. However, here they are taking the stem cells and they are pushing these stem cells to make only muscles. So these are called muscle stem cells, and these particular muscle stem cells can be put into some target muscles for making more muscles in that area. However, this technology is still needs to be perfected to be brought into the clinic. So
okay.
Too much.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Suresh sir, joining back. Thank you. Yeah, no problem. So Dr. Rakesh and Dr. Arun, so how is that? Maybe you heard about that. Dr. Sudhindra is telling of the iPSC. So you have any specific point to discuss on that iPSC stem cell? Maybe your views.
Actually, in India, the stem cell kind of work is regulated, and there are a lot of strict rules put by ICMR. And in the name of stem cell therapy, a lot of people are getting cheated also because they are using unapproved methodologies, which is not actually showing any clinical benefit. However, recently ICMR has formed a new committee which looks at gene editing and stem cell based approach. And I believe that a lot of stem cell biologists are trying. A lot of universities like IIT and others are also into this picture. However, when they will start into a clinical phase, we don't know, because these requires extremely sophisticated facilities, because these cells needs to be created and then expanded, and or even many people can try using CRISPR based editing in these iPSCs and again put them back to the patients. So a lot of these therapies have very good scope using iPSC, but however, how it will be taken to a patient in a clinical setting, still a lot of challenges are there.
Yeah, I believe it is in the initial stages, as I heard from Dr. Sudhindra sir. Okay, yeah. Rakesh sir, any views from your side?
Not much, because, and I do agree, it's in early stages, and of course it is an exciting technology as well. And like Arun said, and of course CRISPR and other gene editing technologies are complementing as well. And these are all complementing in innovative approaches, which obviously any development is an opportunity for us to cure for the the quality of life of these patients. So I eagerly look forward to see what is going to come in the future.
Yep, that's good. So another one point maybe I would like to discuss it here. So something heard like the utrophin upgradation to that will help. So instead of that dystrophin, that upgrade that utrophin to a specific level, that will support that Duchenne muscular dystrophy. So how is that? So any view on that? Maybe we can start with Dr. Arun.
So utrophin upregulation has been worked on from like last 10 years by a group led by Professor K. Davies in the UK, and the initial studies were quite promising, and they went up to phase 2. However, later on, after that, the molecule was discontinued by the company. However, recently, Professor K. Davies has announced that she's been working on new modulators for the utrophin function. Basically, exon skipping or any other therapy is not fully applicable for all the patients. That's why they started using this utrophin based approach, wherein the child and the development stage in the fetus, actually all the muscle development happens using this utrophin protein. And once the child is delivered, utrophin shuts off and dystrophin takes over. So the similar concept they wanted to try. So they started developing a lot of small molecules which will jumpstart the utrophin function. And that is a concept which has been even tried even through like how they have gene therapy, wherein they are focusing on gene therapy which can upregulate the utrophin, or even CRISPR based utrophin targeting. So that's another promising approach. But however, a lot of ideas are there, but which will come to the clinic and which will really come to the market, or which will be more efficient to the patient, is a question which cannot be answered now.
Okay, got it. Rakesh sir or Sudhindra sir?
Yeah, my take on any type of additional type of therapies is similar to Dr. Arun. However, I just want to highlight one thing. I mean, there would be a lot more products that would be coming up. I mean, there are a huge amount of products in the R&D. There are disease modifiers, and people have also looked at whether we can stimulate utrophin function via small molecules. So those type of products would definitely be coming. But I believe that India being a hub for quite a bit of rare diseases, and especially those that are muscle associated one, if it is possible for us to have a good amount of patient registry and to develop India itself as one of the clinical trial hubs, we would probably benefit far more than trying to get only the treatments that might be beneficial or that has already shown benefits. Because this particular question that whether this treatment is useful, should we Because the moment you say something is useful, there is a good amount of expectation from
Yeah,
people
got it.
that treatment to India, but that is not there. So, so it is essential that we strengthen the patient advocacy groups and also create awareness to make sure that we have a good amount of registry in of the muscular dystrophy patients with good genetic data, so that as soon as new treatments coming, we can probably bridge the connection between the patient advocacy groups as well as newer companies who are interested to explore or provide or do a clinical trial on these, and to develop India itself as a hub for rare disease research, particularly muscular dystrophy based different type of research. Because I'm sure that if you're talking about utrophin, if you're talking about any type of gene therapy, any type of stem cell therapy, these are useful only in certain group of patients. So you give them 100 patient list, they are going to select 1 or 2 patients out of it. So it is very essential that we create a very comprehensive, useful patient database, so that as soon as newer treatments come in, it is much easier for the pharma companies or any other this R&D based companies to go through that particular list and offer some type of help, some type of hope to the rare disease research community,
That's
especially.
great. Thank you, sir. Next one, anyway, that we got Suresh sir back. So Suresh sir, specifically this question is to you. So many patients and parents community and not everyone. So somebody believe that even a few of the medical practitioners also believe that muscular dystrophy is a hopeless disease and don't do don't waste much money on any treatment and all. So what's your view on that? So probably you are directly interacting with many of the patients and parents, right?
Yeah, this has been a misconception all through, and this has been the case with neurology per se. If you take neurology as such, years back, people used to think that neurology, nothing much treatment options were there. Even the neurologists were having a laid back attitude. But over the years, now we have seen that with the advancements in genetics as well as the advancements in immunology, there has been a lot of change. We have a lot of treatment options for most of the neurological disease, and muscular dystrophies or SMA is no exception for that. So this misconception has to be removed, and for this we need to educate people, and we need to propagate the information. We need to propagate the treatment options we do have. And the important thing is that, as I told earlier, it's not the cure which matters. What we can do to improve the quality of life of a person who is suffering from a muscular dystrophy or SMA. And for that, we do have options. It's not only the disease mod. Here again, I am stressing that we need to focus on the disease modifying treatment part. We need to have research on that. But at the same time, we need to focus on the quality of life. We need to focus to how to avoid the complications, how to improve the muscle strength, and all those things need to be addressed. And it's not just the curative part we should focus on. We should focus on all these things. Adding on to what the experts have already told, the important thing is that we do have a lot of patients, we do have clinical data, but we don't have a strong genetic data. We don't have a strong genetic data in our country. It is important because it's not only Duchenne muscular dystrophy, there are a lot of muscular dystrophies, and genetically these are all different. And for us to formulate treatment options, we need to know which muscular dystrophy which one person has, and accordingly we have to design trials or design medicines to treat disease. So as a initial step, one important thing is that we need to have strong genetic data of the muscular dystrophy SMA. Most of the times, even we clinicians, except for maybe Duchenne muscular dystrophy genetic testing, the other muscular dystrophy genetic testing itself is not widely available in our country. And of course, the cost part is there. So to build upon a good clinical data, we need to have a genetic backup. And this should be an initial thing which associations like yours and we all should take forward, so that we have genetic data and we have a good classification of what dystrophy we do have. And accordingly, we can have our own indigenous drug research.
because without the genetic data, we are not able to progress further. So the initial step will be get a good genetic data of the muscular dystrophies and other SMEs we have, and build upon that and develop treatment strategies using this genetic data.
Thank you, sir. Actually, I believe the same issue is with Dr. Sudhindra, Dr. Arun, and Rakesh is facing. So they don't have maybe enough samples to do that research and progress. So how exactly that is facing as a challenge to that your research? Maybe all three can comment on that.
Yeah, thank you. If I may go first. So here, Organization for Rare Diseases India clearly understand that this is an important challenge. And as Dr. Suresh clearly mentioned that number one is to make sure that the data that is available is useful, not only for patients, but also for the companies which are developing newer therapies. So without genetic data, it is not possible. You can take the simple example of the Duchenne muscular dystrophy itself. If you don't know which exon you are affected with, you don't know which particular exon skipping which exon skipping drug you are supposed to give. It starts from there. So as more and more genetic data we collect, it will be much easier not only for the companies who are trying to do trial, but also for clinicians or clinician researchers who want to understand this particular thing. So this is a very important point. And second is Dr. Suresh talked about the indigenous development, and the indigenous development is to address the problems, because we cannot expect the cures to come from outside India and expect that the cost is less. It's not possible. If you want to have control on the costs, you have to have developed it right here in India. This is very essential thing. And for that, we were actually looking forward to national policy for rare diseases, but unfortunately, national policy for rare diseases does not make any type of comment on how national policy is going to affect the rare disease research in India. In fact, what they say is the group 3 diseases, which are Duchenne muscular dystrophy or any type of genetic diseases, any type of treatment, they ask the crowd to raise the money, and then if the money remains, remaining money will be provided for the research. First of all, the crowdfunding itself is not a very foolproof formula. Only 65% of the projects can make a good amount of money, and out of that, only 17% reach the target. So we are talking about therapies for muscular dystrophy, and then getting a money from the crowd. Where is the money going to remain for research purposes? So means the patient advocacy groups and the groups which are interested in developing therapies, they need to start putting a little bit of amount of money for research purposes itself, not for the therapy. That sort of funding we probably have to bring ground up to create that particular funding specifically dedicated for research purposes, and use it judiciously depending on their scientific advisory board. And that is very essential for us to develop an indigenous solution. And secondly, we need to also make sure that the samples that are required for research purposes are also collected. So here, Organization for Rare Diseases India is working towards putting together R&D ecosystem in Bangalore and around places. We will be coming out with a plan for this. But the idea is to essentially help all the companies, including Arun Shastri company or anybody who are working in the rare, to make sure that the required amount of research materials, the required amount of research testing is available for whoever is interested. Solution for these things. But indigenous solution and patient registry, I think we need to, it become very, it should be a very normal thing for everybody to accept in the patient registry groups is what I think.
Yep, thank you, sir. Dr. Arun, so what's your view on that? Maybe you are also on the same view, I know.
See, right now, dearth of patients or dearth of samples for research is not the main issue. It's
Okay.
dearth of funds.
Okay. Main issue. Yeah.
Yeah, because there is no rare disease fund. Like there was no rare disease policy. Something has come out, but that policy never had anything which helps researchers or doesn't give any incentives for companies or people to get into rare disease research. Still, whatever is done is only through few patient organizations, and they also have their own limitations. Not every parent is strong enough to come with that kind of support. Luckily, in the case of DART, we had around 20 groups of families who saw sense in the research, so they were ready to beg, borrow, or whatever, to come up with the seed funding. But that has only lasted for few years. Now they are all dried up. Now the new
Correct.
people who want to come and join, they have to use crowdfunding or whatever and support this. Then only it can be driven. If you take the example of USA, PPMD, or muscular dystrophy associations across the world, the parents are the people, or the patient advocacy groups are the people who have done a lot of crowdfunding and funded researchers. I'm sure Dr. Rakesh also has received a lot of funds from parent organizations and other philanthropists. But in India, the concept of giving has still not come. So that is the sad part.
Yeah, we totally agree that. So that is the challenge here. And Rakesh sir, how is the condition in Australia? So maybe that here in that what Arun sir mentioned, that so here is a bit challenge. So maybe the starting few things in the initial days it should be okay, but everything from the crowdfunding, it's not a viable solution. So is there any difference you find in Australia?
Not really. Actually, funding is one of the main challenges, especially when it comes to rare diseases, because we don't have a rare disease funding as such. And so it's extremely challenging, because it's often very challenging for us to justify the significance of the grant applications, because that's where we lose mark. Because the number of patients for each indication is not much. So the area where we face challenges at the moment is the significance part. So often we miss out in funding, but we are lucky to have a strong philanthropy based on mining here in Western Australia, where I am at the moment. So we do get funding through philanthropy organizations who at least recognize the importance of coming up with innovations to help people not only in Australia, but around the world. And that's one of our approaches to get funding. And when it comes to the patient and sample access, and I do completely agree with Dr. Sudhindra and also Arun, it's very important for us to have, patient samples. And also, I can give you an example. What I currently mainly focus on motor neuron disease. And we work with patients who have gone through this, and then we do work with them, and we know their mutations, and and what sort of approaches that we apply to them is crucial. So patient intervention and patient advocacy is absolutely essential in order to come up with innovative approaches and technologies that really work. Even if it works for just one patient, it is really good. And we found when we talked to those patients, we found an eye indication can also be treated with the same protein that is, we found a common function and association between these two proteins, only because we work closely with those patient groups. So, and we are going to the next level now in motor neuron disease, and probably it will come to early phase clinical trials in 3 or 4 years from now. So, and we are very lucky to have Daniel Ricciardo, F1 Formula One driver, and he funded and he donated one of his Ferrari for us here. Oh. So we can sell that. And that's what I'm saying. Philanthropy can actually, he is actually a Perth boy, and he actually cares motor neuron disease very, very carefully. So such people are willing to come forward and then fund researchers to come up with innovative technologies to help those patients who are absolutely in need of therapies, at least. And we all know Stephen Hawking's about his journey through motor neuron disease. At least if we can make a change to the quality of life of those patients, we are happy. And that's exactly what we want. And again, funding is not is a constraint. And like Aaron explained, it is very challenging here in in Australia as well. Government agencies, it's literally impossible because the success rate that these days we have here is about 7%. So it's very unlikely to get through unless we are a large team working across Australia, then we probably might get it. But the better source for us are to approach philanthropy here. And then often we do get, I think from 7%, it can go up to about 60-65% success. So
that's great. Maybe that we have that almost like 29 minutes pending, so remaining. So I would like to know from Dr. Suresh. So we know that we are progressing a lot of things in the medical development and all, but until getting a medicine, concrete medicine, how we can manage that muscular dystrophy? So what should be your opinion to the patients and the parent community?
Yeah, muscular dystrophy, especially what I told earlier, for Duchenne muscular dystrophy, in the current context, what we are practicing is that as anybody above 5 years, we can start them on steroids. That has been definitely proven, which improves the muscle strength, which improves the ambulation, which prolongs the ambulatory period, as well as it prevents the complications. So less than 5 years, there is a question whether to start before 5 years is a question, but as of now, the approval, FDA approval is after 5 years. So we do start steroids. There are different regimes available, and this definitely improves the muscle strength and definitely improves the ambulatory period as well as the ambulation. So that is the first thing in Duchenne muscular dystrophy. What at this point of time, most of our Duchenne patients are being given is this is the one thing. The second thing in Duchenne muscular dystrophy is to look at the other aspects of it also, say cardiac evaluation. Many of them will have issues with the heart also because the muscular dystrophy can affect the heart also. So you periodically do a cardiac evaluation, and if needed, there are medicines to modulate or modify the cardiac functions. The other thing is the respiration. You can have assisted devices, cuff assisted devices. You can look at the respiratory part of it. And most importantly, again, one early thing is you look for the spine, you look for scoliosis, which is an important thing, which hampers the respiratory function. Prevention of contractures, again, that early physiotherapy, early rehabilitation facilities, because these contractures are one thing in the due course of the disease which may affect the mobility, and prevention of infections. So we do have treatment strategies to improve the modulation, to prevent the secondary complication, to modulate functions of not only muscles, other systems. These are all applicable for the Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Whereas in other muscular dystrophies, we don't have any definite drug treatment part. Of course, many other muscular dystrophies also can have issues with the cardiac function as well as respiratory functions, which we'll monitor periodically, and accordingly we can give you medicines. But steroids are, in the strict sense, not approved for other muscular dystrophy. It has been approved only for Duchenne muscular dystrophy or Becker's muscular dystrophy. SMA, again, except for the new medications, the disease-modifying medical therapy is not available. But supportive treatment, looking at the preventive, the complication, improve early rehabilitation, these are modalities which we should be looking for. Important thing is that there can be other treatable muscle diseases also, or neuromuscular diseases. We shouldn't be missing that. So a proper evaluation is very essential, and the importance of having a diagnosis is that we should not be missing a treatable muscle disease. There can be a lot of other muscular diseases other than Duchenne muscular dystrophy or muscular dystrophies or SMA. There can be other neuromuscular diseases which are very amenable to treatment. There are even metabolic myopathies which are very amenable to treatment. So there lies the importance of a proper evaluation rather than shunting or dumping a patient somewhere saying that this is dystrophy. We should have a proper evaluation not to miss other treatable causes also. This is a very
Okay.
important aspect.
Yeah. That's really great, sir, for your input. Now, so maybe one question, so mainly that it should be to Dr. Sudhindra and Dr. Arun. So what kind of the bureaucracy challenges we are facing, and how exactly we are getting the support from ICMR and other related government organization in this medical research and development?
I think Arun should go first.
In the last 8 years, in all these organizations, whether it is ICMR, DBT, or the Indian FDA, we have seen nearly 3 to 4 changes in the heads. And every time a new guy comes in, the game starts again from scratch. But with every time, there are a lot of new rules coming in. Like when we started the whole research, they were following rules set in 1945. And then by the time we submitted all the applications and the studies which we had done, they changed the rule. So all that work became, waste. But still, a lot of, they've considered rare diseases. So they're trying to come up with some kind of fast track. Thanks to COVID-19 vaccination is the fastest program developed in India. Now we are using that for rare diseases. We are saying when you can fast track COVID, which is an emergency, here in rare diseases, it's an urgency.
Yeah. Actually, that DMD is especially that I will tell you frankly. So for the past 4 years, every year, every month, I am getting some bad news, and I am the only person responsible to share that bad news to the community. So it's really sad. It's like we are losing many kids, and it's an emergency situation to develop a complete curable medicine for Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
My Krishna Kumar sir is that, we have looked through how the national policy for rare diseases has been consistently diluted since the inception, starting from 2012. It is consistently being diluted, and with the recent NPRD policy that has come up, it is very clear that government has decided to really put itself in a very restricted scenario, and to which they can actually now provide some sort of help. First of all, as far as the diagnostics themselves are concerned, because the rare disease policy, if you look at it, the first thing they say that they don't know what a rare disease is. They have not yet defined what a rare disease is. And we have a rare disease policy for India, 2020, 2021. We don't have. So as Suresh sir was saying, that the diagnostics need to be strengthened for at least treatable type of diseases. So that particular thing, the government is putting a lot of effort. So there I see a good amount of work, and bureaucracy is as good as the policy. So bureaucracy will follow the policy to the dot, provided there are good amount of constant pressures from the people who are the beneficiaries, the stakeholders. They need to constantly check for how this particular policy framework is being even followed. Maybe constantly asking them by by going, maybe using RTI methods or any other type of methods. You need to hold them accountable for whatever they have said in the policy. Look at how many diagnostics they have been able to set up, how many are working, what is the impact of whatever the diagnostic methodology that they talked about, because the policy majorly focused on diagnostics itself. And a part of it, they looked at the therapy part. If you look at the policy, and there, that too, we know that a lot of patient advocacy groups are not formed by people who are in the PMJ beneficiary group. That is the truth. Most of the people who go to, say, primary healthcare center or secondary healthcare center don't even have the privilege that we all have right now, talking over internet, trying to discuss all this. This is not the reality of rare disease patients on the ground. They don't have access to internet, or they don't have access to any type of information that we have. they are the ones they are the ones who might get benefited with the national rare disease policy for group 1 and group 2 diseases. But if you look at the group 3 disease, which involves all type of newer type of therapies, be it even a simple oligotherapy like Dr. Arun Shastri's company, that has also been put into group 3, which is an indigenous solution to technically decrease the cost, and they have put it in group 3. They should have put it in somewhere where PMJ beneficiaries or any other BPL card holders can benefit from it. So this kind of shows a very different approach that the government has, and that would be reflected by the bureaucracy which the government is using to execute this particular thing. So I feel that and people who are making these particular policies are all people who are working in the rare disease. If you look at who are all there in the NPRD policy, whoever wrote these all policies, they have been working in this field. They know the real struggles of people who are coming together to have some sort of solutions. So I feel that it is more awareness is required on the policy maker side itself, to actually tell them that the reality is completely different. You need to when you're putting people into group 1, group 2, group 3, group 1 eligible for 20 lakh organ transplantation or stem cell transplant. What is how is it actually getting executed on the ground, on the field? What sort of beneficial?
Yeah, that's kind of question. So we are getting from the different, many of our community people also for the new policy and all. But as you mentioned clearly, so some kind of relaxation is coming on. So that is a good thing. So probably we will get more improvement from the maybe that bureaucracy side and the policymaker side. Maybe Rakesh sir, even though you are in Australia, but you are working closely with many companies in India as well. So what's your view on that?
I don't actually know so much about the bureaucracy situation in India, unfortunately. But in Australia, we obviously have a mechanism for everything. So we didn't experience like this the way you have explained, as we have a mechanism in place already for every applications. So for rare diseases, again, when it comes to funding or when it comes to approval, obviously they follow US FDA guidelines. So we have similar TGA, Therapeutic Goods Administration, who are the authority to give approvals here in Australia. However, and they do have certain guidelines set up for every indications. But they follow for rare diseases in particular, and they follow FDA guidelines. So we have to follow the US FDA rules and regulations when it comes to the trials and then applications and everything. So we do obviously lodge here, but then it'll be followed up by FDA.
Okay,
so
that's great. Yeah.
So but the situation in India is a little bit different to what we experience here.
Correct. So one question I could see here. So it's like question is there, hi sir, DMT exon skipping treatment is there in India. So I believe Dr. Arun will be the right person to answer that.
Hopefully this year we start our clinical trials. Once that is completed, we hope that we get this treatment available for everyone.
Okay, that's good. So maybe that we agreed for 1.5 hours, so we are almost reaching that time period. So before closing, so we can have a conclusion remarks from all of our guests. So probably I can start from Dr. Suresh sir.
Yeah, as has been discussed, the main constraints which prevent our way forward is the financial support as well as governmental policies. So financial support, we need to mobilize various philanthropic groups and others, as well as we need to have advocacy to push the government to form real beneficial policies towards rare disease, especially muscular dystrophy and SMA. And we need to have a strong database on which we can build our research, and we need to develop indigenous strategies with all the support of all this.
Okay, thank you, sir. Maybe that one more question I saw in the chat, so any of you can answer it, that will be great. Yeah, I will read that. My son having 50 to 53 duplication exon, any treatment for the same is available? It's a question from Madhura Deshmukh from Maharashtra.
As of now, for duplications, the therapies options are limited. Exon skipping doesn't work really for duplication. There has been only 1 or 2 studies where they have tried removing exon 2 duplication, where that is like only 1 exon to be removed, but that also has been done only in animals. In humans, nothing has been tried. Probably microdystrophin or mini dystrophin kind of therapy might be applicable, but right now in India, it's still not started any clinical trials. So for duplications, that might be the only option.
I just want to add to that, I mean, if you look at the kind of COVID vaccine that everybody is getting now, Covishield, which is technically a gene therapy. So, and it has got expedited so fast that almost everybody is getting a gene therapy product right now for vaccine. The gene therapy products that are developed for the rare diseases as well as for the muscular dystrophy should be able to come through a good amount of regulatory clearance faster. Right?
Yeah, I have one more question. It is like it's about stem cell therapy. Just went through a Western blog where a patient is very happy with the treatment called stromal vascular fraction (SVF) stem cell treatment. What is the panel's opinion on SVF?
So, if I may interject, so SVF is a more of a crude method of stem cell providing. So basically, you take from the bone marrow, you take that particular fraction, you take the fraction which has the cells inside it, discarding all the other material that are coming from the bone marrow, and use it as a crude fraction of stem cells. So basically, SVF will be rich in bone marrow mesenchymal stromal cells, and these mesenchymal stromal cells and umbilical cord derived mesenchymal stromal cells, these are the kind of stem cells that are talked about, that people have been using it in a lot of therapies. Unproven, it is not approved by the government of India. ICMR guidelines for stem cell and stem cell research and therapy clearly says that no other therapy other than hematopoietic stem cells are useful right now. And so these mesenchymal stromal cell therapy, these are all experimental therapies. So if they are being given to the patients, it can only be given as a clinical trial and not as a treatment. So they need to be part of the clinical trial, and then we can probably receive these therapies. However, so far the researches done on these mesenchymal stromal cell, either derived from umbilical cord or derived from umbilical cord blood or from the bone marrow mesenchymal stromal cells or stromal vascular fraction, all these, or adipocyte from the adipocyte mesenchymal stromal cell, all these are their basic mechanism is to modulate the immune reaction. They can modulate inflammation in that particular region. So they might be useful, but only in some subset of patients and in a very short therapeutic window. Yeah. However, they are not products, and they need to be provided to the patient only from a clinical trial perspective, approved clinical trial perspective.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Maybe you can provide your conclusion remarks from your side as well, Sudhin sir.
Thank you so much for giving Organization for Rare Diseases India an opportunity to present.
It's 6 o'clock.
Thank you so much for giving Organization for Rare Disease India an opportunity to present in this particular forum, a panel discussion. I really enjoyed it. My take is that over coming 4 to 5 years, the patients need to be far more educated about the kind of options that are available for them. And parallelly, it is a responsibility of dedicated organizations to raise awareness in the medical fraternity as well, as clearly mentioned by Dr. Suresh, that we need to make sure that we are not missing trees for the forest. There's a huge amount of rare diseases, muscular dystrophies, which can be treated. It is essential that awareness is there to make sure that clinicians do not say that what is the point of doing the genetic testing. That should not happen. It is essential that that particular stress should come from the patients saying that please do the genetic testing, please keep the genetic data. We don't know when the treatment will come. Please, that is very important. And second, from the clinician perspective, I request, I mean, since all these diseases are, there is no silver bullet to it. You have a gene therapy or something. Management of patient is completely different from curing or treating one particular, giving one particular injection or therapy. So it is a chronic disease. It requires a group of people to take care of, say, Duchenne muscular patients or spinal muscular atrophy patients. There is requirement from the patient with these groups, not only for treatment, but also for making sure that clinical centers are established to cater to the needs of the patient, and established clinical centers will also serve as clinical trial points, so that if any new company comes, we can just say that this team is really good. This hospital, this team of clinicians and healthcare providers are doing an awesome job for this particular disease. Please go there. So,
Thank you, sir. Arun, sir. I know that few of the questions are there, but I know that we are on the top of the hour. So one question is like, exon skipping is possible for all the deletions. Yeah, all the deletions.
Nearly 85% of the cases it might work, but it has to be evaluated case by case basis, because dystrophin is the biggest gene with 79 exons, and there are few exons for which even if you remove it, it may not benefit the patient clinically. So it needs to be checked on a case to case basis.
You can provide your conclusion remarks as well, sir.
My final 2 cents are, this has to be by the patient, for the patient, and to the patient. So I am looking forward for Mind Group to, motivate people from Kerala and join the cause. Need help. We need a lot of help, and only as patient organizations we can understand the trouble what we go through on a day-to-day basis. And of course, policies, bureaucrats, and everything will happen, but that takes more time. But we need to be convinced ourselves that we need to do something.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Rakesh, sir.
Okay, so I would like to mention that the patient registry is really important with the genetic information in a sort of coordinated approach that work around India. So that's very, very important to come up with, personalized therapies. And of course, funding is very critical. So more and more funding opportunities should be available, or at least to fund good causes coming out of DART and then Sudhindra's organization, and also all institutes who are trying to come up with drugs in India with different technologies are important. And finally, I would like to reiterate that innovative technologies are coming up and the patients are the beneficiary. So in the coming few years, obviously, we anticipate that the scenario with respect to treatment will be in a much better shape with reduced treatment or cost of therapies for the benefit of the patients. So it is obviously going to be a good outcome at the end of the day.
Yep. Thank you very much. So at the start of the session, I was thinking like, okay, 1.5 hours means it's like what kind of discussion we can do it. But now I realize that it's like we can have maybe 1 day, full day discussion to where we are standing and what kind of things we can move ahead and all. So it's like anyway, it's a very good and constructive discussion, and we come to know the few things. It's like first thing, it's like doing that proper diagnosis first and get the correct data. And another one is like we need the support from the parents organization and patients organization and the scientific community, and the joint effort, a lot of support from the government organization to move forwards. So hopefully we all can go together and make that proper muscular medicine for muscular dystrophy and save the life for all of our kids. I would really thanks all of our guests, valuable time. I know that how busy with your schedule and all, but you took your tremendous effort to join this call and join with this our Mind Trust initiative. So going forward, so we are expecting all kind of support from the organization, and I do personally believe that so the collective effort from the various organizations, it's like the DART is there, ORDA is there, even that Rakesh sir, the new company, and everyone can work together to develop the proper medicine and save our kids' life. Once again, I'm thanking you, everyone. So at this moment, I would like to invite the Tirtha to provide that our conclusion remarks. And you know that Tirtha is like one of our young members from the Mind community, Mind family. And we are trying to build that the new generation leaders from our Mind group as well. So that kind of approach we are following, and we are looking ahead with the development in the medical field as well as the social aspect of the person suffering from muscular dystrophy and spinal muscular atrophy. Tirtha, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can give quickly, maybe provide your final comments here. So I would, because you started the session, so I would like to see the conclusion from your side as well.
Thank you so much for introducing me and providing me the opportunity to speak here. So there has been a lot of misconceptions regarding what has been going on behind the scenes of this medicine making. And thank you so much, doctors, for giving us an insight on what is going behind the scenes of the medicine making process. And this certainly does give us hope. And thank you so much for making aware about the changing scenarios in medicine development. And thank you for telling us all how important each of our outputs are. And we are really happy and honored to have you here. Thank you so much for your presence. And just for being here, we all are really grateful to have you here. And this discussion has been very informative. A lot of us do not know what is going on and where we stand on the medicine making process, and a lot of us hold on to a lot of false hope. So this does clear a lot of confusions. So thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Arun Shastri, Dr. Rakesh, Dr. Sudhindra Rao, and thank you so much, KK, for moderating the whole session. You all did a really good job, and I'm very thankful to have all of you here.
Thank you, sir.